Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the IDMC and to the Digital-Motorsports.com YouTube channel for the IDMC TCR Cup and the second to last round of the championship here at Zolder in Belgium. The first time we visited this circuit across all of our championships, and with just this round and one more after this, the championship is at its climax point before we head into the final couple of rounds. We've got the heat race and the feature race is to come up tonight, and then the final race next week before we head to the next series. But all the focus is on here at Zolder for tonight in the Audi TCR car. My name's Jack Cannon. Alongside me is Kevin Galvin. Kevin, the series has gone by super quickly. We've only 2 rounds left, including this one, and the first time we visited Zolder should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a really good one. Another track that's, I suppose, recently re-added to the DTM calendar. Another track that has seen a lot of World Touring Car Championship action between the World Touring Car Championship, the FIA one, and indeed, of course, the WTCR Championship as well. So yeah, it's really exciting championship. Last week saw some brilliant racing around Nuremberg. We're just over the border now into Belgium. In Belgium's actually first ever custom-made dedicated racetrack ahead of Spa-Francorchamps. And Naveed Hussain in the lead, just ahead of Jason Cooper. Both the Pro and the Pro-Am class is still very much wide open, particularly the Pro-Am class. Just 8 points between Sean McGovern and Simon Wall, and 10 points obviously between first and second in each race. So with 4 races left of the season, set to be a really exciting finish to the IDMC spring season.
Absolutely does, and the championship in the pro category has switched a couple of times this season, but Naveed Hussain has re-established his grip on the championship, with Jason Cooper not finishing the previous final race, the feature race, of course, where Naveed came second, with Josh Malin picking up an inaugural win in this championship. And what a great fight it was. I think that one that we'll remember for a while. In this one, as Josh Malin sets the first fastest time by 0.6 of a second. That's a hell of a lap, opening lap from Josh Malin, and maybe these guys will pick up the pace, of course, when the car gets up to temperature. But Josh back, of course, Naveed Hussain in second, Rob Moore third, and Simon Wall currently in provisional 4th place at the moment. And of course the Pro-Ams, the championship, as you mentioned, are still really close there. Sean McGovern still holding the lead of that championship, but his gap at the top is now just a couple of points, so it's not too much at the moment. Michael Seal just a further way back. He had a really good drive out last time, finishing up with the pros. He started on pole in the feature race and then came back. He's now within the shot of the title, but both championship, as you mentioned, still really close. But Naveed, he was behind going into the last round, and now he takes a 20-point lead into this round.
Yeah, taking a 20-point lead. And to be fair, I don't think anybody could deny him that he's been unbelievable in the feature races particularly, but also in the heat races. Really consistent as Naveed. He's always one of the quickest no matter what track we go to, but his ability to cut through traffic is just unparalleled in this series, and the ability to stay out of trouble, which has really meant that he's just been consistently placing. I mean, look, apart from obviously that one issue in Charlotte, which was very unfortunate, but apart from that, Naveed has been extremely consistent right throughout this championship, and there's a reason why he's top of the leaderboard. And then you have Jason Cooper right behind him, and Jason, like a lot of the guys have said, so in next week's final round.
Yeah, absolutely. And just look at this, is a really interesting qualifying that's going on right here at the moment. Josh Malin at the top, Nicky Meredith up in second. How about Nicky doing a really good job so far? Dan Mould, Liam Matthews, Naveed Hussain, Jason Cooper down in 5th and 6th at the moment. But surprisingly at the moment, it's Nicky Meredith up on the front row. Josh Malin currently in provisional pole position. Dan Mould, he's of course new to this championship, but he's established himself really well in this early phase. Liam Matthews, of course, was, believe it or not, was Pro-Am last time in the USF 2000s, and is now up in the pro class as Jason Cooper moves himself up into 4th place now, and he needs a great result today. He needs to get himself back in contention. He obviously is in contention, but he'd rather take a lead into the next one as Peter Dempsey pops into P3 now. And really, really interesting qualifying so far. Let's see if it works out the way we feature race is the reverse grid, so the top 15 get reversed, and whoever finishes 15th will get a pole position for the feature, which of course was Michael Seal last time, and he ended up taking a top 10 result. But Josh Mellon versus Naveed Hussain was the battle of the day in that one, as Naveed goes to 3rd, Keith Dempsey up to P5. So both the Dempseys, well, Naveed Hussain and Peter Dempsey are on exactly the same time right there, 3rd and 4th. So really close between those guys. And Ronan Doherty out of nowhere into 2nd. So this could be the biggest upset grid we've kind of seen this season. Josh Mellon on the pole, but Ronan Doherty, that's a really impressive effort in P2.
A massive effort from Ronan Doherty, and Josh, to be fair, really establishing his credentials in this season. It's taken a while for Josh to get used to the TCR cars in iRacing, but he's really gotten up to speed with the other guys, as we saw last week with Naveed Hussain. That is probably one of the most exciting battles I've seen. I know Fabrizio Rivera and Evan's battle in Charlotte was brilliant as well, but Josh and Naveed, there's been some superb battles. And Josh leading the timing tables, and as you say, Jack, this really throws the cat amongst the pigeons, because Naveed is in 4th, Peter Dempsey is in 5th, then you've Keith Dempsey in 7th. Keith's always in and around there all the time. Really, really, really quick driver. And Naveed will be looking over his shoulder a little bit, and I suppose, look, Jason Cooper in 6th there as well. So there's a lot of guys who are up the top of the championship, but not necessarily up the top of the standings. We talked about Naveed Hussain's ability to get through traffic, so it'll be interesting to see how our top 3 is Peter Dempsey gets himself onto the 2nd road grid. How that ability will come into play now, because this is the first time we haven't seen a Naveed or a Jason most likely qualify at the top of the leaderboard, though of course those guys do have another flying lap left, so be interesting to see how those guys get on with that. But yeah, great to see different drivers up the top of the grid. It really certainly shakes things up for the heat. And of course, that then has that filter effect down into the feature race here tonight at Zolder.
Yeah, and at the moment, it looks like Naveed and Jason are going to be sharing the 3rd row of the grid, which is a really intriguing grid we've got. But by the looks of it, we have Josh Mellon on the pole and Ronan Doherty with a front row start. Very, very impressive from Ronan Doherty, that effort there in 2nd, only a 10th off of Josh Mellon. Peter Dempsey in 3rd, and Nicky Meredith, really good qualifying from Nicky. Really nice to see him up there. And Naveed Hussain in 5th, and Jason Cooper in 6th. James Holman, another great qualifying in P7. Keith Dempsey in 8th, and then Rob Moore in P9. Looking at the Pro-Ams, it seems like Sean McGovern's gotten the better in the Pro-Am qualifying. We'll, of course, update you on the grid when we get to the end of the session. We're just looking at Wayne Douglas, who's finishing out his last lap at the moment. And Wayne, of course, made it to the podium last week in the feature race. So let's see how Wayne gets on. Wayne's won one race in the IDMC in the past. I believe it was the opening round of the previous season in the US F2000s. He took a victory in the feature race trying to remember what track it was. Can't quite remember it now off the top of my head, but it did a great job.
Was it Indianapolis?
Indianapolis. Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah, because you couldn't remember. I couldn't remember that Wayne finished it all, but when you said the first race, I could remember where we were. Funnily enough, this is why we need each other, Jack. This is why we need co-commentators. We kind of keep each other on our toes, I feel like.
Absolutely. We just saw there the stewards hard at work tonight, Rob King and Ronan Hederman, as always. And here's your grid for the first round. It is Josh Mellon and Ronan Doherty on the front row, and a really, really impressive qualifying from Ronan Doherty. I'll keep mentioning it, but a great job from Ronan. Peter Dempsey lines up in 3rd. Nicky Meredith lines up in 4th. So the turn 3 guys sharing the 2nd row. Naveed Hussain, championship leader, starts 5th with his rival Jason Cooper alongside him. James Holman starts in 7th with Keith Dempsey in 8th, Rob Moore in 9th, and Dan Mould in P10. Then outside the top 10, Liam Matthews and Sergio Graben on 11th and 12th on the grid. We'll look further down in just a second as we wait for the drivers to grid up for this first heat race of the night. Remember, top 15 are inverted for the feature. Here's the rest of the order. Then Fabrizio Rivera lines up in 13th, and Victor Cullen in 14th. Peter McCall in 15th, and Jason Smith. So it's Victor Cullen actually on the Pro-Am pole. Sean McGovern and Simon Wall, they're the championship rivals in the Pro-Am. They're sharing a row. Harold Isitatis and Adam Dowling, then Roy O'Shea and Wayne Douglas, followed by Michael Seal and Mark Birney. And then Kshitish van Keteshvar and Aaron Dalton sharing a row in 25th, 26th. Stuart Beerton and Tony Stack in 27th and 28th. Dave Collier and Evan Naylor in 29th and 30th. And at the very back of the grid is Owen Murray, who will round out the 31-car field for this race. Well, this is a up to be a really, really interesting race. Josh Malin on the front row, on the pole for VRA. Ronan Doherty, his first time on the front row, and Peter Dempsey and Nicky Meredith, well used to being the chasers, but I'm really interested to see how this Hussein versus Cooper battle will go on in 5th and 6th. That's the key one. But I think if Josh gets a clean start here, I think he's going to be a hard man to beat, but we'll wait to see what's going to happen here as we get ready to go. The timer ticks over past the 2 minutes. The lights will come on in front of the drivers now, and we will get underway for the 5th round of the IDMC TCR Championship. Heat Race 1 is go. Good start from Josh Malin, and a good one from Peter Dempsey from the second row. Immediately goes in front of Ronan Doherty, who kind of bogs down off the line as they come towards turn one. Naveed Hussain, as always, the fast starter on the inside line up to P3 already from 5th place, and he makes his way through past Nicky Meredith up into 3rd place. Jason Cooper is following him as well, so good start from those guys as they look further down the order. Seems to be all clean through the first corner for everyone here as we go through the first couple of corners, but it is Josh Malin from Peter Dempsey and Naveed Hussain making his way through past 2 cars up the inside line into turn 1, but Ronan Doherty did not get away well there from the front row down to 7th immediately.
Yeah, look at Naveed already up to 3rd. He seems to have a really, really good jump off the line. I know you mentioned it already, Jack, but nice to see good, clean racing. Of course, as we barrel into this opening chicane, I think we were all worried that there might be a bit of action in this opening chicane, given how tight it is, and we will be too wide there. I see Peter McCann dropping down the order there. Wayne Douglas is down there as well, and Harold Zitautas after losing a few places. I'm not sure what happened to Peter. He was one of the fastest VRA guys in the grid, of course, on the qualifying, but Josh Malin sporting the VRA colours for this season. A brilliant battle with Naveed Hussain last week, should I say. Now Naveed is 2 cars behind Peter Dempsey, splitting those two in the turn 3 Audi RS3 TCR car. Josh leading the way, but yeah, interesting to see how quickly Naveed again got off the line as a dive down the inside by Jason Smith there on Michael Seal. Michael had a brilliant result last week in the feature race as a Pro-Am car, finishing in the top 5, so he'll be hoping for more success here. But after the first lap, Josh Malin leads, but look, as I said, Jack, Naveed Hussain already up a number of places. He's already up 2 places into 3rd place.
Josh, I think, needs to use this time to try get away from the guys behind, and I think Naveed's going to try just build a gap as best he can to get away from Jason Cooper, and of course he's his main rival in the championship. We're just looking further down amongst the Pro-Ams. We're looking at Jason Smith, Michael Seal in front, then Sean McGovern, who of course is the Pro-Am championship leader. He's there in 17th spot, but I believe it's actually Victor Cullen leading that. There it is. He is actually up in 13th place. So Victor Cullen is the lead Pro-Am, but these guys are your front runners: Malin, Dempsey, Hussain, Meredith, Cooper, Holman, Doherty, Keith Dempsey, Rob Moore and Lee Matthews are your top 10. But still, these guys are kind of elite trains. They're trying to break away here. Jason Cooper now falls to a second back behind the rest of these guys as they come through. But Naveed's in a bit of a turn 3 sandwich at the moment. He's got Peter Dempsey in front of him and Nicky Meredith behind, who will want to try and get his position back that he lost to Sean McGovern, just trying to make his way through past Wayne Douglas. Is unable to do so at the moment, but Sean trying to find some room here, trying to cut back under these. He's got to be thinking about the championship as well, and he's looking up the inside through the right hander, can't quite get alongside. He's getting a little bit checked up there with Michael Seal going to try to cut across Jason Smith. Over top of the crest they go, and there's cars everywhere as they come down the hill. Then McGovern to the outside line trying to cut underneath Douglas. He gets into the back of him, and Michael Seal drives past a whole lot of them on the inside line, and that was just a case of 2 cars becoming magnetised together, and they're still side by side up towards the last corner now. But Michael Seal is the benefactor of that as Smith looks up the inside now into the last corner. There's contact, and round goes Michael Seal. Can he keep it in a straight line? He tries to keep his foot in it, and he does, thankfully, rejoin in one place, but a tricky place to try and make an overtake there in the final corner. It just closes up so quickly that if you need to be fully alongside to make sure that move's going to work. Absolutely, and I'll hold my thoughts on that one before I see it again. But yeah, it's always a very difficult one from the guy coming from the outside. You'd have to really see it from top down to see whether
whether Jason went deep into the corner or whether Michael cut him off. It's kind of hard to see from that point of view. And as I said, I don't want to jump in too quickly, but up the front, Josh Malin now with a 1.2 second gap. That's pretty big, to be fair, as we move along. And unfortunately for Sean McGovern, he was very unlucky there as Peter Dempsey now jumps into second place. That Peter Dempsey was in second place. It was just a little bit of a jump around the timing table as Naveed now has Nicky Barrett all over his backside. Thankfully, Naveed not having the same ditching issues that we saw last week at the Nürburgring. Very unfortunate for Sean. He just got caught up there, entangled slightly with Jason, which allowed Michael Seal to just jump up the inside. But obviously taking that place back, and as I said, I'd like to see it back. But look, 7-8 laps left here at Circuit Zolder in Belgium, and Josh Malin and Peter Dempsey both doing a really good job starting at the front row of the grid and holding on to that position.
Yeah, they have so far. I think Naveed tried to move on Peter, but Peter just showed him the outside of the corner, and that allowed Meredith to close it. It's also allowed Cooper back in the draft, but you can see Cooper's the fastest lap of the race. Well, it was the fastest lap of the race. That Josh Malin actually holds that at a 38.7, so that's just showing incorrectly there. But Josh now builds the gap to 1.4 seconds. That small little battle is really helping Josh out now, and it's also helping Jason get back up to these guys. He needs to get with these guys and finish in front of Hussein to keep the championship alive for him. But Hussein's so quick through the first sector and is closing right up to the rear of Peter Dempsey, and he needs to run through this next chicane if he wants to have a chance at an overtake that he just did a lap ago, but Dempsey defended it. So there they come through the chicane. It's a really hard chicane. They're very easy to pick up an off track through there. You see the cars using the curbs over the top of the crest down, dropping into the left-hander. Naveed definitely not as close this time to try and overtake, and they come through the chicane still the way they were, but Cooper is closing in. That's exactly what Jason Cooper needs, that these guys stay kind of fighting, and Cooper's also kind of trying to drag Roland Doherty back with him. Doherty, of course, was qualified in second, so he's got some serious pace in that car, and he might be able to just close up to these guys as well. But we're about to come to the halfway point of this race. It's Malin by a second and a half now, and Dempsey seems to be the cork in the bottle to release Hussein, but Peter Dempsey is a very hard man to pass.
Very difficult man to pass, a really, really experienced racer and quick in his own right, of course, to say that he's finished up that high. Just keep an eye on Naveed Hussein there in the next lap, and I noticed it last week in Nürburgring as well. He was able to be much more aggressive and particularly in Charlotte, he was able to be much more aggressive on the chicanes, which allowed him to gain quite a bit of time. Now, there's a few chicanes here, but that particularly, that Kleine chicane going down the main straight in Zolder, which is an interesting one because there are very high curves as Liam Matthews goes down the inside of Dan Mould. Can Liam make that stick? That's a really, really good line too. Very, very good racing by these two guys holding their line. Oh, that comes across slightly, Dan. But Liam, there's enough space for two cars there, to be fair. Dan and Liam going at it. Oh, sorry, it was actually Liam and Rob Moore, I think, actually going at it, in fairness, which allows Dan to get back into the picture, and Fabrizio Rivera is there as well. Hopefully no contact here. Fabrizio obviously involved in a bit of contact in the chicane last time. Now, we didn't get to see Naveed Hussein go through that chicane last time, but Naveed seems to be running very soft suspension, particularly on the front, which allows him to attack, be a lot more aggressive on those curves than some of the other drivers, so he's able to make up time through those curves. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get a run out of that chicane, but unfortunately for Naveed, making up that... Oh, he's going to try to leave. It looks like he's touched Peter Dempsey. Naveed, I have to go back and see that. We don't have a replay on hand, but that was heading... Peter comes back onto the track. Where is that? It's trying hard to see. I think that's true. Oh, Naveed's trying to go down the inside. And a little bit reckless there by Naveed, I have to say. He did pull out, and obviously Peter was on the brakes, but Naveed didn't. I don't think Naveed had full control of the car as he pulled out there. But be interested to see what our stewards Rob King and Ronan Henneman have to say about that. Obviously Victor Cullen as well is the driver's thing of that, as Nicky Barrett now tries to go down the inside. Naveed is saying Naveed hangs around the outside. He manages to hold on to it, but Nicky's all over his backside here as we head down towards kind of chicane. Jack, what did you make of that incident?
Oh, I think Navi was trying the move he made in the Nürburgring and it just didn't work. I think he's got damage now because Nicky's absolutely all over him down towards the chicane. He goes, he's going to look in the chicane, is he? Up the inside, Nicky Meredith can't quite get alongside, but I think Hussein is driving wounded. He goes wide and Meredith now will surely have him, and Jason Cooper will see this, and this is exactly what he wants to see, closing back up to Hussein now, and Meredith's going to try to get that outside line for the chicane. Hussein's defending for his life here into the braking zone, and Malin is sailing away in 3.2 seconds. The gap goes to now as they come through the right-hander, but Hussein is definitely carrying some front-end damage from that contact with Peter Dempsey. It was really unfortunate for Peter up in that instant there, but Hussein's got to try now, hold on to the position. He's got to try and hang on against Nicky Meredith here. Nicky's going to get right up on his bumper into the right-hander where it happened just a lap ago, and surely it's only a matter of time now before Meredith gets through. Is he going to try it into the last corner? He's still tucked in behind. He's going to go for it. He's going to look to the inside, but can't quite get alongside him into this last chicane. But Hussein now back into the rhythm of things, it seems. But look how close Nicky is to the back of him. Now he moves to the outside line for the first corner. Really tricky to go around the outside of turn number 1 here, but he is alongside. Hussein just manages to keep in front though as they come through the first corner. It's a great little scrap. Hussein goes a tiny bit wide, but he manages to hang on to it now. Meredith back to the outside again, and Cooper's now with them in the background. Meredith trying to cut back up alongside him on the way through the right-hander. He can't quite get up alongside him. Hussein's defending brilliantly here, to be fair to Naveed, as they come up through the right-hander. He's under severe pressure, and you can see now the incident between car 007 and car 10 is under investigation, and that is the incident between Hussein and between Peter Dempsey, but it's super close. But all that has allowed Jason Cooper to close right up to the back of them now. This is exactly what Jason wants to keep himself in the championship. Hussein's got to try and hang on to the position now, but Nicky's driving really well. Hussein's defending brilliantly though.
Really good driving from both of them, and I suppose Nicky's conscious of the fact that he's Jason behind him, so he want to get a move on to get ahead of Naveed Hussein. Otherwise he's going to have Jason overtake him and then have a move on Naveed. That incident was under investigation. As you were speaking there, Jack, I just went back to look at that replay again, and I think that's going to reflect badly on Naveed. Not that it was intentional, but as you say, he did move out to make that move, but then slightly lost the front end and just didn't have the braking power to stop himself slapping into the back of Peter Dempsey, who was pretty much the innocent party, and that was well entitled to take a defensive line. So in fairness, I think for Naveed, it's certainly not intentional. No, not that any of the incidents in this championship are intentional, but for Naveed, I think probably just not the right time, not the right place to do it. As he moved out on Peter Dempsey and just slightly lost the front end and ran into the back of him. But as you say, Jack, this is music to the ears not only of Jason Cooper but also Josh Malin, as we just had quickly in picture there. 3.8 seconds now leading at the front of the grid, and Naveed bottling up everything else behind him. So a great opportunity for Josh to have another great result in this championship. And Josh is really coming on strong at the latter part of this championship, which is great to see. And Nicky as well, driving really well, drove well last week as well. So there's very much, I suppose, this championship up the top. We're very much focusing on Naveed and Jason and that battle, but there's a couple of other guys who are proving themselves just as strong, even if that third in form has come a little bit late to contest for the overall championship standings.
Yeah, and you can see now Hussein's actually opened the gap out to Meredith by a second, and Cooper is, I think, just running out of time now to try and get past the both of them here. But I think he'll be happy just to say where he is. It's points at the end of the day, and if he does finish where he is, he'll start in front of Naveed Hussein. You can see just the stewards coming up. That incident is going to be reviewed after the race. So that could be an interesting point should Hussein pick up a penalty for that incident, and where he would drop if so. So, of course, all results today are provisional, so just keep that in mind as we head into the last round. So everything is crucial now. Jason Cooper finishing where he is, I think he may know that Hussein may have been involved in an incident, and he's not going to try anything untoward, so to speak, on the cars in front as they come over the start finish again. Nicky Meredith trying to hang on for a first podium of the season as well, with 2 laps to go. Be a great result for Nicky, as James Holman, he got a podium last time out, and he's just trying to hang on against Keith Dempsey. Keith's only dropped 1 place, so Keith is still there in P6 behind James, and Rob Moore running nicely in P7 with Dan Mould and Liam Matthews still together on the circuit, still having a good scrap between these two. as they come through the right-hander. But we speak about it now as we flick to Josh Miller. Josh is in an absolute class of his own tonight, Kevin. He's a six-tenths of a second a lap faster than anybody. I don't know what he's on, but I think we need to have a check later after the race.
I think Jim Bolger might be on his case if anybody's aware of that. That's a different kind of racing, but certainly Josh is absolutely flying. And if you want to make Josh your driver of the day, don't forget you can comment in the YouTube comments as well, making Josh your driver of the day. That does get you into the chance of winning superb SIMTAG pedals that are worth a huge amount of money. We're talking 4 figures, which is something that I think all of us would love to get. Of course, thanks as well to SimiCube for their sponsorship of this series. They do absolutely brilliant direct drive stuff. And funny enough, Jack, that we hear about the Fanatechs and the Logitechs, and there's certainly I can't afford anything above a Logitech at the moment. But when you look at the really good streamers, a lot of the really professional drivers, they are using SIMTAG, they're using SimiCube wheelbases. So if you are looking to get yourself same kind of gear that professional race drivers are using, get yourself over to digital-motorsports.com and you can do that. As Liam Matthews now is a bit of a challenge from Dan Mould up the inside. He's going to hold that place as Matthews. I was going through the final chicane heading down the main straight. Nice clean attempt there by Dan Mould, but just couldn't get the door done, couldn't get the move done. Liam Matthews shutting the door.
Yeah, absolutely. As we just see now, I think Josh has made a mistake. Josh has made a mistake. The gap is dropping really fast. It's down to a second now, and Josh made an error on that lap, and Hussein's bearing down on him all of a sudden. So 1 lap to go, and Josh, all his work is all undone. Can he hang on for 1 more lap? Naveed would have seen that, and he'll know that Josh has now thrown away a 3-second lead, but thankfully not the race lead as far as he's concerned. He's still got track position, but Naveed now is right with him, which is unbelievable considering how far in front he was in the first corner. Just an error as they came through, as they come over the crest again. Keith Dempsey trying to fend off Rob Moore, and he shoves him to the outside lines, and no way through for Rob on that occasion. A robust defence from Keith Dempsey there, but Josh Balin a really late scare, and he's now going to try and hang on to this race win, which I didn't think we had to in this late phase. He's now going to try come through. Got a couple more corners to go, and he will secure himself 2 race wins in a row and his first sprint race win of the season so far. But he's definitely got to be sweating in that rig right now as he comes towards the last corner. Naveed Hussein bearing down on him. It's an absolute repeat of what we saw in the Nürburgring. But Josh Malin, a very late scare, comes towards the line and he wins the sprint race. And after throwing away a 3-second lead, Naveed Hussein hangs on for second place provisionally. And Nicky Meredith gets his first podium in third place. Jason Cooper and James Holman in the top 5. And it'll be Victor Cullen securing himself a Pro-Am win. So congratulations to Victor for taking that victory. Sean McGovern in second and Simon Wall in third place. But Josh Malin, he had a 3-second lead. That gap came down to 4/10 across the line, and he somehow manages to hang on to it. So very thankful that he had that 3-second lead when he did.
Just thinking that Josh probably, not that this is what he was thinking, but I feel like the racing gods in this series have demanded that we have battles for the lead. So Josh thought to himself, okay, I'm 3 seconds ahead. Maybe I need to put on a bit more of a show for people that are used to the people battling up the front. There's poor old Peter Dempsey crossing the line in 28th position. I think a result that reflects unfairly on Peter. I think he really could have been up there and challenging for the win if it wasn't for that incident with Naveed Hussein. Obviously, that's being reviewed post-race, but Josh just thought, make it a bit more interesting for the people watching. We're so used to having battles up the front and managed to hold on to the win. Congratulations, Josh. His pace was insane over the middle part of that race. A very well-deserved win. Naveed Hussein in second place, Nicky Meredith in third, and Jason Cooper in fourth. So another very, very intriguing race in terms of the championship battle in both Pro-Am and Pro as we head into the next race, the feature race, of course, in which Jason Smith will be on pole.
Indeed, Jason Smith with his first pole of this season. Sergio Grab will start on the front row as well. But as the drivers are in warm-up, we're going to take a short break here on the Digital-Motorsports YouTube channel. And don't forget, of course, to get your driver of the day submissions in. And we have Rob King going to tell you all about the competition to win that fantastic set of SIMTAG hydraulic pellets. I'd also like to say a quick thank you to all of our sponsors in this series, of course, to SIMTAG and to Grid Engineering, to Motorsport Ireland for their continued support, and to the ESC Group as well. And a big thank you, of course, to SimiCube, who are for, of course, sponsoring this season as well. And we're going to run, of course, their fantastic sponsor ad for you as well. But first of all, we're going to have Rob King tell you about that wonderful competition. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Thanks to our sponsor SIMTAG Simulators, we have got this incredible SIMTAG 2-pedal set Racer Edition to give away. How do you enter? It's really simple. All you need to do is watch the races, leave a comment in either the live chat section or the comment section, which will be available to you after the race, and just tell us who you think the driver of the race should be. It's as simple as that. If you felt like giving it a share or a like, that would be good too. And we'll pick a winner at the end of the championship. Best of luck.
They say that perfection doesn't exist in this game. Most players just don't have it in them. But those who dare to seek it might catch excellence. And that sounds perfect to me. So, I'm done playing. Let's drive.
Welcome back to Zolder and to the 5th round of the IDMC TCR Cup. Don't forget to get your submissions in for Driver of the Day. You can do it now, or you can do it in the comments after the video stream has been processed. But we're in the last few moments of one. Actually, one has just ended, and we're about to head to the all-important feature race. And Naveed Hussain, after the sprint race, provisionally extends his lead at the top of the championship, but now Jason Cooper will start in front of him. That means absolutely nothing, because we know how quick Naveed Hussain is off the line. We'll get your grid in just a moment. That's going to be the back of the grid. We're going to scroll to the top, and Jason Smith will get pole for this one, his first one. Sergey Grabin starts from second. Victor Cullen, who took his first ever victory in the Pro-Am, he finishes or starts in third. Rory O'Shea, Fabrizio Rivera, the two High Prix guys in fourth and fifth. Dan Mould and Liam Matthews, Roland Doherty, Rob Moore and Keith Dempsey. Then it'll be James Holman, Jason Cooper, who finished in fourth in race number one, and behind him will be, of course, Nicky Meredith with Naveed Hussain and Josh Malin starting in 15th place. Wayne Douglas and Sean McGovern, then Adam Dowling and Simon Wall, Michael Seal, Harold Zitautis and Owen Murray. And we are away for the feature race, and it is a good start from the second row of the grid. It is Sergio Grabin with the better start as they head towards the first corner. He will lead into turn number one as they head towards the inside line. Again, they go side by side. Miss Smith back up the inside and retakes it as they come up towards the second corner. Sergey fighting back on the inside line though for the right-hander at turn two, and back up the inside he goes. Rory O'Shea watching and waiting as they come round the next right-hander, still side by side between our front runners. They're going to go three wide for the lead here at Zolder, and Rory O'Shea will go up the inside to take second, and Jason Smith will hang on to take the lead. It's going to get checked up as Sergey runs off the road, and Victor Cullen goes through up to third. So Victor Cullen in the runs third overall as they make their way through, but it is a fantastic start this time. The chicane now, there seems to be a big by the looks of it, and I think Jason Cooper's also with, and it seems like Sergey, massive slide. He's got some damage on that car for sure in that one, but I think Jason
sorry, I think we've lost Jack. I was wondering, was it on my end, but it seems like we've lost Jack. Yeah, what a disappointing incident there through the chicane. I was watching, and so disappointing to have seen a good couple of guys involved in that, including Josh Malin. who was, of course, winner in the heat. But Josh now battling his way back. I'd love to go back and see a replay of that incident into the chicane as well, because I did miss a lot of it. Apologies for the technical issues. I think Jack must have had some issues with his internet, and he was stuttering out. I thought it was just my internet was actually having issues, but it seems not, as we're jumping all over the place. We're on board now with Peter McCann at the moment in 16th place. I think Jack is back with us. Victor Cullen now in 5th place. He's worked his way up there. Has Victor, who has Ronan Doherty behind him. What a brilliant finish in the heat race, of course, but a huge amount of guys front runners involved in that. Naveed Hussain now in 10th, Nicky Meredith in 11th, Josh Malin in 13th, and it looks like can't see Jason Cooper's name there at all, so it looks like he was quite badly caught up in that incident in the last lap. It's difficult to see what exactly happened. I hope we can cue it up on a replay, because this could be a massive moment in the championship. Jason now running back down in 22nd, and I'm not sure exactly what started that all off, but it was just a spiral of cars there through the opening chicane. It was disappointing because we avoided, as Liam Matthews, a little bit of contact with Ronan Doherty, running all over him at the moment. Very good run though, however, by Rory O'Shea early on in that first lap. Saw Harold Siotautis battling at the front and just picked his line down the inside, and now finds himself in 2nd place behind Jason Smith. Jackie, you back with us?
I am indeed, and thankfully my laptop has not got a punch through it for now, but it may we get one later. Jason Smith now leads Rory O'Shea, running in 2nd, the best he's run so far. Dan Mould, also the best he's run so far. So these guys have a real shot here. They've got a 2.3 second lead over Fabrizio Rivera, who runs in 4th place. That's a big lead these guys have got. And we've got Hussain still in the top 10, behind Wayne Douglas, behind Keith Dempsey. But the crucial thing is he's about 10 positions in front of Jason Cooper. As we now look, Dan Mould looking to the inside of Rory O'Shea into the chicane. He may not be able to make that stick. He's going to have a go nonetheless up the inside, and he does get it done on the inside of the chicane. That was tricky, but he was alongside and he made it work as they come over the curbs now. Ronan Doherty absolutely hopping over the curbs there, and he's now going to be at the mercy of Keith Dempsey and of Wayne Douglas, and by Naveed Hussain. They're going to go up the middle. Wayne Douglas finding some room where there wasn't any, and he goes through past Ronan Doherty, and now Naveed Hussain is the man behind as we go back to these two, Peter McCann and Adam Dowling, who are fighting for position. Of course, Adam's got some new gear on his sim brakes, so Peter, if you don't mind, would you mind moving over for him, because I think he's quicker.
For lining that up. Now that came courtesy of Niall Maher, right? So I will not have anything said about Jack Canaan about that. That was 100% our broadcaster. As Sean McGovern's gone off there in the background, just as well, it saved Niall from further embarrassment, because Sean's after taking my attention. Sean going off there. But yeah, what a brilliant drive. A couple of really good drives here from guys who have profited from that instant in the earlier corners. Victor Cullen up to 5th place. Naveed Hussain keeping his powder relatively dry, but he's still running in 10th, which is unusual for him to be still 10th after 4 laps in. But a couple of really good drives here from some of the guys that we don't get to see so often. And like we talked about Michael Seal, who we see on camera now. A little bit of a touch between himself and Dave Collier. But Michael doing brilliantly to stay in the top 5 in Prom last week. And Victor Cullen will be hoping to repeat the same again. This will be a superb week for Victor Cullen if he could come through with a 5th place in the feature race. That's Ronan Doherty running slightly wide. As we see now, Jason Cooper involved in a 3-way battle here. Jason going down the inside of Sergei Graban into the 3rd corner, 4th corner on the track. I'm not entirely sure, as we barrel our way through the chicane. We'll stay on board with Naveed Hussain for a little while, as Naveed now has Ronan Doherty down the inside of him. This is a good battle between these two. Naveed laid on the brakes, as we said, he's quick through the chicane, gets through there as he's going to try and profit from what's going on ahead of him. There's Keith Dempsey in 5th position, Victor Cullen just behind him. Keith's after slipping into 5th place, and now Victor has a whole load of cars behind him, including Liam Matthews, Wayne Douglas, and the man we're on board with now, Naveed Hussain. Looks like there's going to be a move down the inside here as Nicky Meredith tries to make a move. Wayne Douglas down on the inside of Liam Matthews, and he makes that one stick, but Liam's coming back at him and will have the inside corner for the final chicane, the Jackie Ichtbocht. My Flemish isn't brilliant, but I think that's close enough. As lots of 2x2 action here, Jack, and as we've seen these guys, despite the fact that we're in the second to last round of the second to last week in the series. That's Wayne Douglas getting turned, and he's going to.
Naveed's in it. Naveed's in it.
Naveed's involved. Wayne stuck Naveed's flashing his lights. Wayne's stuck on his reverser and reversed back across track. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Was there a bit of niggle between those two? But Naveed is not happy at all. And that's a huge turning point again. However, Jason is back down from that earlier instance. So if Naveed can try and hold on for this one, as now Wade's gone off again there in that one. He looks like his back left tyre has separated itself from his RS3. I'd like to see a replay of that one, but it looked like Wayne stuck it in reverse and went back across the track.
Yeah, maybe he didn't stick it in reverse, but the car just rolled back across the front of Naveed Hussain, and Jason Cooper, there he is. He's in the background, and he's not far off it, so they've both had disasters. Sean McGovern, who was the championship leader in the Pro-Am, went off earlier on as well, so now Victor Cullen, Simon Wall runs second in that one. So this could be multiple points changing right now, but look at VRA, 11th for Adam Dowling, Peter McCallum in 12th, and Josh Malin is now back up to 8th, so VRA, 3 cars in the top, nearly in the top 10 right now, and considering Josh went off, he's on an absolute charge through the field right now and is not out of it. But still, Jason Smith is leading this race. He's led every single lap so far, but Dan Mould is absolutely bearing down on him right now, and Dan chasing his first win, as is Jason back here. Here's Nicky Meredith. Now he's got Josh Malin behind him. Roland Doherty's behind him. But major changes through here as VRA guys of Peter and Adam up a good few places where they started. Peter up 12 and Adam started basically next to him, so they're working really well together here, the two VRA guys, as they come through turn 1. Liam Matthews still trying to keep Nicky Meredith and Josh Malin behind. Here comes Nicky on the outside. Josh is making it nearly 3 wide into turn 2. He's just trying to bide his time, driving around the outside of Liam Matthews now. He's alongside. Nicky goes through up to P6 now, and Malin to the outside line of the right-hander now, trying to make it stick on the outside. Matthews goes back up his inside though, and now he'll try to get the run towards the chicane now as they head down the back straight now. Josh has got the overspeed and the run into the chicane. Ronan Doherty's in there too as they come into the braking zone. Malin up the inside. He nearly gets into the back of Meredith. Meredith hops the curbs, and Josh might have him now. Victor Cullen brilliantly makes it 3 wide over the top of the hill in the background. He gets to both of them. Victor Cullen goes by Liam Matthews and Ronan Doherty, and now Malin looks to the inside. Meredith can't quite get alongside, but Victor Cullen, it was Michael Seal the star of the show last week. Now it's Victor Cullen the star of the show in the Pro-Am. He's leading, and he's still in the top 10 fighting it out with the pro guys, but Jason Smith under severe pressure now.
Yeah, Jeff, brilliant move by Victor Cullen there. Just a little bit of hesitancy through the chicane given what happened before it, and Victor being able to pick that line and make it stick as well. Really good racing, and it just goes to show you how little there is between everybody in this championship, Pro-Am and Pro, how little there is between these guys. I just watched back that incident with Naveed and Wayne Douglas as well. It looked like Wayne was slightly turned. It's difficult to know because obviously Wayne trying to defend his line got tagged by Naveed. Difficult to see who was at fault, but definitely Wayne. If he didn't put it in reverse, he certainly made absolutely no attempt at holding his brakes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the stewards have a look at that one. Whether there is fault for Wayne after that, it's difficult to see. Probably frustration after being turned off to being such a good position and driving so well, but certainly, from what I could see, didn't make a huge attempt at trying to hold the brakes as Josh Malin and Nicky Meredith in a brilliant battle here. Nicky's done a great job tonight, as has Josh, as they're battling through that corner. And Nicky, to be fair, has given just enough room to Josh to hold that round the outside. This is really good battling from these two, but it looks like Josh is going to get the move as Victor Cullen now goes down the inside. He's going to make this one stick on Nicky Meredith, and now Victor back into 7th position. This is really good battling here from these guys, but Jason Smith leading the way.
Yeah, brilliantly done once again for Victor Cullen, using Josh Malin as a battering ram and making his way through up the inside. And Nicky Meredith and Josh back up to P6. That might be the best he can do because it's 6 seconds up to Keith Dempsey now. But look at this, Jason Cooper versus Naveed Hussain. They're way down the order compared to where they would normally be. Both caught up in instance, and Naveed now has got his championship rival all over him, and he's just trying to make his way through past some Pro-Ams now. He's got Dave Collier and Simon Wall who are in front of him now. But back to the overall lead, and Dan Mould is still absolutely stuck to the rear bumper of Jason Smith, who's doing a brilliant job still leading this race on lap 8 of 15, so only about halfway through this race now. And through turn 1 they go, still hanging on. Jason with the small advantage on that lap, but they are lapping faster than the guys behind. Keith Dempsey, fastest lap of the race so far in P5, and is just trying to make some tracks on these guys in front. And is doing a good job of in P5 today. But Josh is about 6 seconds behind him, so Josh may struggle to try and close up that gap. And Jason versus Naveed, there it is. Cooper gets it done on Hussein, and that could be a big moment, because remember, Hussein's under investigation for that incident between himself and Peter Dempsey, and Rob Moore goes up his inside now, so Jason's going to try to make as many positions as he can. But if a penalty goes Naveed's way, Cooper finishing in front of him in this race could make a huge difference going into next week.
Yeah, massively, and Jason, to be fair, I don't know, did I miss an incident there between those two, Jack? But Jason, in the position he's in now, it's about getting the head down and trying to make up as many positions as he can, as we just see him overtaking Dave Collier there. And it's interesting, Jack, because look, this championship has ebbed and flowed, as you and I know, and we started at Donington with the two of them up the front, and they've been battling normally up the front, but this is a really interesting part of this battle where we see the two of them. Could very well be a drop week for the both of them, considering where they finished, but it does give them some sort of a touch there in the back of Jason Smith by Dan Mould. I think Dan was slightly later on the brakes than Jason, had just sent it into the back, a little bit of a tap, almost like a NASCAR push to pass to get past him. No intent really there, I don't think, from Dan Mould, but he has been extremely aggressive in this race. And indeed in the sprint race, he's certainly not hanging around on these guys. He's going to let him back through. That's really sportsmanlike driving from Dan Mould, in fairness, as the battle continues. You'd love to see that kind of stuff, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. A hat tip to Dan Mould for doing that. But he did it without losing any time whatsoever. Still stuck to the rear. These guys have got to watch out, though, because believe it or not, the two High-Pre teammates of Roche and Rivera are working together to bridge the gap, and they're bringing it down rapidly behind. So watch out for those two guys behind. And to be fair, Keith Dempsey's not far off the back of those two either. So this could be a really interesting end to this race if the guys at High-Pre are able to do it. Look at the massive hop of the curve for Jason Smith. That's going to really leave him vulnerable over the top of the hill now. Here comes Dan Mould, and he gets the inside for the chicane, which is a crucial line, and he does go through. Jason Smith picking up a slowdown, I reckon, for that. And Dan goes through to the lead, and now there they are. Look at them. They close a huge amount. And Rory O'Shea and Fabrizio Rivera with Keith Dempsey as well going with them. And a really intriguing end to this race could be on the cards. Yeah, but Dan, I think, has been finally released as Victor Cullen. He's getting now eaten up a little bit now. He's just run a bit wide and lets Nicky Merritt and Ronan Doherty through. But he's still in the top 10. Fair play to Victor, and is also still leading the Pro-Ams by a decent margin of about 9 seconds, so that's still good. And these two are still together, two VRA guys. They're just working together, running with each other, trying to make sure they stay with each other. But this could be a really good night for VRA to get them kind of on the cusp of the top 10. And Adam running a bit wide there. Peter would have seen that, and I think he's just going to hang behind for now. But Dan trying to build a gap up front right now. You can see they're very evenly matched on pace, but you can see visually on the gap there that the High-Pre guys of Roy O'Shea and Rivera are much quicker, as is Keith Dempsey. So if they continue to work the way they are, this could be a 4-way, possibly 5-way fight for the lead here as the rest of the group comes across the line to begin another lap. And it's interesting. You can see Jason Cooper's there in the background. He's just trying to bridge up to these guys. Rob Moore making places, and Sergey now gets past the same. So he's dropping down the order. So this could still be a big points gain for Jason Cooper, even if it is a drop round. But of course, they cannot drop the next round. So it's either this one or none of them.
Yeah, either this or none of them, as you say. So I suppose Jason might drop one earlier on in this last week, of course, where he lost quite a bit of time to Naveed. Naveed has that incident in Charlotte as well, which he can keep in his back pocket. But interesting that both of them now have had 2 weeks where they haven't quite been on the pace as we keep up with Peter McCann and Adam Dowling. Interesting to see these teammates working together. They'll be all over the back of. He's a good gap now between Adam and Victor Cullen, in fairness. But just to give you some context, you're talking there, Jack, about the visual difference about how quickly the High-Pre guys are to the top two. So the last lap saw Dan Mould do a 141.1. Jason Smith did a 141 flat, Rory O'Shea a 139.8 and 39.6 for Fabrizio Rivera. So almost a second and a half difference between these two, and with around about a second and a half between Jason and Rory O'Shea, and another 5 or 6 laps to go. As Keith, I think Keith took the barrier there, trying to move around the outside of Fabrizio Rivera. Of course, these two have history. Last week, and continued a little bit of a chat going on as Keith sends it down the inside now, and Fabrizio turns in on him, doesn't give him a huge amount of room, and Keith forces him out wide. I'd expect to see, I wouldn't want to be hearing the iRacing chat over that. To be fair, looking at it first time round, it looked like Keith had the inside line. It was alongside, but it's difficult to tell here, giving Fabrizio absolutely no space after Fabrizio forced him out wide and into the barrier. But as it stands at the moment, Keith makes his way into 4th position, and that's what I was going to say. That's the sort of thing that Rory O'Shea is going to want to see, and that's what Jason Smith's going to want to see. He's going to want to see battling behind them, because at the moment those guys are quicker than him on pace. But of course, if they get caught up in their own shenanigans, then that means that Dan Mould and Jason Smith can work together to finish top 2, 1.7 seconds down Rory O'Shea behind Jason Smith between 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? The two that came together last week come together again in Zolder, and really intriguing stuff once again. Sergey battling away with Dave Collier. He's going to find the inside, can't quite get up alongside the car there, and but Dan Mould now, you think he's got a bit of breathing space, about a second now. So if he can keep up this current pace, he should be relatively safe for this victory, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. Rory O'Shea still 3rd, Dempsey in P5, Malin's in 6th, then Doherty, Meredith, Cullen and Dowling. Your top 10 at the minute, but this is obviously not over. Keith, I think, heading into pit lane there. I would imagine he could have picked up a penalty for that. Actually, we're just going to have a quick look right now. We're just going to see what's going on later on, but Keith is into the pit lane. Is that to serve a drive-through, I wonder, or is it to fix damage? We'll find out in due course, but this is interesting stuff there. That instance happened once again.
And to be fair, Jack, just to jump in there, like I was just looking back at the replay again, and a small bit of a dive from Keith came up from behind and did force Fabrizio out wide, but then in the previous corner, Fabrizio didn't give him any space and almost forced him into the barrier on the back straight. Now, I know Keith could have swapped the inside, but obviously Keith feeling a little bit of greed from Fabrizio's, forcing him out wide from the previous corner. Add into that what happened last week. I'm not surprised. If I was in Keith's position, I could definitely see myself doing the same thing. Whether it was right or wrong, it did look like a bit of a dive, and Fabrizio didn't really have anywhere to go, so it's up to the stewards to make that call. But just from trying to get inside Keith's head, I can kind of understand where it's coming from, given the history between those two. But certainly that'll be an interesting debrief after the race this evening.
Yeah, so much happens in the heat of the moment that you look back on afterwards. But Dave Collier with Keith just trying to get back past him here, and does do so, lets him through, no problems at all. But there, Naveed saying, you can see him in the background, you've got Sean McGovern for company now, and Jason Cooper is on the verge of a top 10 now, which is not what Naveed needs in this phase of the race. Jason is in P11. That was a wheel going across the circuit there.
Yeah.
There was a tyre just sheared off.
Was that dumped from somebody else, or was that wasn't the Wayne Douglas's tyre just gone flying off the track? Was it? I'm not sure where that came from, because everyone seemed to carry on as normal, but hopefully no major damage in that one. As Sergey grabbed him around by him, and he was started up the front to course, and had his instance, was involved in caught up in that incident through the chicane that we see now. And it's pity, because I would love to have seen some of these guys fight their way up the front. But Dan Mould, what a brilliant drive from him. Obviously a new driver in the series now, 1.3 second lead with about 3 laps left here at Zolder. And a really intriguing week. Not the same kind of battle up the front that we're used to seeing, Jack, but nonetheless a very, very intriguing week. And I suppose a week would be interesting to see how many guys up the front particularly use this as a drop week as we head into next week's final round of Hockenheim.
Yeah, looking forward to Hockenheim, and you can see VRA up ahead, and they've got, unfortunately for them, Jason Cooper's bearing down them now, and both these guys are now in the top 10, of course, 9th and 10th, so 9th for Dowling, 10th for McCann, but Cooper is all over the rear of them now, and Cooper needs as many places as he can, and the think is that McCann moving over, it is indeed, so they're not going to worry about fighting with Jason, and Jason now in the top 10, which is brilliant for him from his perspective in the championship, considering he was caught up in that lap 1 incident last week and this week. I think it'll be some sort of reward for everything. There's Naveed carrying the front end damage still from the incident, runs wide onto the grass. I think Naveed's not had the best day at the office, even if he did pick up a P2 in the first race tonight. But so many points gone astray for Naveed Hussain. But you can see now back to Dowling and Cooper. I think Jason may be able to get through here without too much problems. Whether Adam is obviously well entitled to fight for position, but we'll see what happens here. If he gets close, maybe he might move out of the way. But 2 laps to go here, and we come across the start-finish line with Dan Mould now a second and 1.6 seconds, in the lead at the moment. And even though it was because of instance, these guys up the front have held their nerve. They've been first and second the whole way through, and it'd be nice to get a new name, a new winner, and an inaugural winner, first winner of the evening.
I couldn't agree more, particularly for Dan Mould as well. You know, in his debut season, as I said before. Now, it is interesting. I was expecting Adam Dowling to make this a little bit easier for Jason Cooper, given the fact how easily Peter McCann had made it for him. Now, will Adam leave space for Jason to get through? I don't think he is going to make space for Jason Cooper into the Kleine Carousel. Obviously, that isn't team orders particularly. It was just Peter McCann's own decision, knowing that Jason is quicker than him. But I was expecting either Peter to maybe be Adam's wingman, or for the both of them to let it through. As it stands now, that Jason's caught up in a sandwich between Peter and Adam Downing. I'm genuinely very surprised by that. Obviously, that was just Peter's decision to let Jason through, but Adam not affording him the same luxury. Jason's going to have to work for this 9th place if he wants it. Again, Victor Cullen, a great drive from him again in P8.
There we go.
As he's going to leave him by now. Obviously, just waiting for the right place. I was kind of surprised that. But that was because Peter was so far behind him. But of course, Peter has Rob Moore all over the back of him as well there. So Naveed down in 18th place behind 2 championship leaders, funnily enough, heading into tonight's event side by side. I'd expect Naveed to get the job done on Sean McGovern and move up the point standings, but he's a good bit behind Jason Cooper now. As we say, we don't know what story is yet with drop weeks, how many guys will use this race and not use this race, so it's difficult to know exactly what kind of impact it's going to have. But Dan Mould won't care. He's in first place. He's heading into his final lap, and if he can keep it clean with a 1.5 second gap between himself and Jason Smith, it'll be an inaugural win in an inaugural championship season. And there's a lot of guys racing in this series that don't have a win and have been running for quite a long time. That'll tell you how difficult it is, as Sergey was down the inside of Dave Collier. Dave holds it together though, smashes the throttle and keeps that front wheel car running as Naveed and Sean McGovern now step down the inside. Another one difficult to tell. I'm going to leave it to the stewards to decide that one.
Yeah, very difficult to tell. And a man who's kind of gone under the radar a little bit this race after the first lap incident, Josh Malin somehow made it back to P5. What a drive from Josh Malin to get back to where he is. There he is, up 10 place where he started. But we're on the final lap here at Zolder, and the championship could now be blown wide open in both cases. But we're about to have a first-time winner in IDMC come across the start-finish line in just a few moments' time. And it will be the other Ignium Motorsport car. We're used to the other one in the Vita same, but this week the honours go to Dan Mould, who wins the feature race at Zolder and his first ever win in the championship. Congratulations to Dan. Jason Smith finishes in P2, and a well-deserved podium for Rory O'Shea in P3 as well. Fabrizio Rivera finishes in 4th. Josh Malin finishes in 5th. A great recovery from him. And we go down now to the fight for the tail end of the top 10. You can see Rob Moore closing up rapidly to the 2 VRA guys, but Victor Cullen finishes P8 and wins a double win in the Pro-Am for Victor Cullen today. Well done, Victor. Great drive. And then it'll be Jason Cooper, a crucial P9. While we look down where Naveed Hussain is going to finish, is going to be a solitary and lowly 18th place for Naveed Hussain, and he's also under investigation for the incident in race 1. So this could be a big one today, but not a good day at the office for Naveed Hussain. A brilliant one for Dan Mould, who takes a feature race win, and Victor Cullen, he's gone under the radar, but once again a brilliant job, top 10 overall and a double Pro-Am win as well.
Yeah, I think Victor's right up there for driver of the day. Dan Mould as well. Some lovely burnouts there from Adam Dowling as Peter McCann passes him. But yeah, what a drive from Dan Mould in the feature. As he said, profited from a little bit of carnage behind him, but nonetheless kept it really, really consistent. A superb drive from him. Jason Smith in 2nd and Rory O'Shea the same, particularly given the fact that Jason and Dan looked stage there that they were going to be caught up in, they might be caught up by some of the guys behind them, but a great job from them to hold the top 2 places here at Zolder for the feature race. Don't forget to get your driver of the day, and you do have some SIMTAG pedals worth a pretty penny that you can get your hands on, as well as you don't forget to check out Digital-Motorsports.com for the SimuCube Pro, and also our new sponsors as well, all the way from Canada, the Imagine Engineering, Grid Engineering, sorry, my apologies, to do dashes, wheels, and wheels with an integrated dash if you're sick of you trying to use SimHub. But yeah, what a brilliant race, Jack. I think you have our feature race winner, Dan Mould, virtually standing alongside you.
Yeah, we absolutely do have Dan standing by after that race. Dan Mould, congratulations. A first season and a first win in the feature race. You had to work hard for that one. Brilliant job. How do you feel?
I feel good, boys. Yeah, thanks. Enjoyed that. Wasn't looking forward to it, but yeah, it's turned out to be a decent race. I like Zolder, but I just didn't enjoy it in practice, so I'm very surprised with the win. So yeah, I'm chuffed a bit. I am.
Yeah, it certainly sound it. I know not many people are a fan of Zolder anyway, but what's the worst thing about it? Is it those curbs, or is it just the flow of it, or what's been the worst thing about it for yourself?
I just don't think you can get any consistency around here. I think every lap is a unique lap. You know, you'll hit that optimum time, and then the next lap you can be 3 or 4, 5, 6 tenths off it, and then it won't come again to 3 or 4 laps again. It's just one of them tracks. It's very hard to find the optimal race lap after lap after lap. Even more so in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the championship's been really, really quick. Of course, with the final round next week. Believe it or not, I've obviously heading to Hockenheim. But how have you enjoyed your first season over here, Dan? I know it's a competitive, really competitive grid to jump into, but taking a win in your first season is not bad at all.
I've enjoyed this league. I was talking to Naveed during the race, and I was saying, what a good league this is. Decent bunch of lads. Well organised. Yeah, it's one I've thoroughly enjoyed, and like I say, the competition, as you can see from, the first race, the chance to get an overtake was near impossible. Having that guy, who's 2 or 3 tenths slower, it's still very hard to pass him without making a lunge or something. So yeah, the competition is superb. I really enjoy it.
Excellent. Dan, before we let you go as well, is there anyone you'd like to say a quick thank you to or give a shout out to while we're still live on the air?
You guys for running the league, and the lads obviously involved, and a big shout out to everybody involved in Ignium, the guys who are watching, and Paul and Naveed taking part. They make you feel very welcome to the team, and the support is unbelievable. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Dan, thanks a million for hopping in with us. Congratulations on the first win, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Thank you very much. Good night.
So very happy Dan Mould there on his inaugural win, and Kevin, we have as well our double race winner from tonight in the Pro-Am standing by.
Yeah, Victor Cullen, you were the man who drew the name out of the hat to be the driver representative, and some of these things can have omens with them. A double race winner tonight. Will you be putting your name forward as the driver rep next week?
Oh, I really hope so. Oh, what a week! What a week! Oh, it was amazing. A bit superplex now. I don't really know what to say, but that driver's rep certainly gave me something. I don't know what it was, but yeah, just the practice really gave it all to me. Doing a lot of practice before, and then I had a few days off doing racing in Mondello and stuff. But yeah, first race was just really good. I was so surprised at how high I qualified. I think a few lads might have had scruffy laps, but and then just kind of, it was one of those races, you lads will know yourselves, just ran away with it. Like I couldn't, everything went perfect. The lads behind me got in a battle, the guys in front of me got in a battle. I couldn't, I was pretty, I think I only got a few incident points, so it's unbelievable race. Like, yeah, I hope I'm driver's rep again, but unbelievable race. Race 2 was kind of the same. I got in a battle with a few of the pro guys. I was really cautious, making sure I wasn't taking anyone out, because in a different class, it wasn't really what I was supposed to be belonging to. But unbelievable race, and to get my first win, 2 wins, was unbelievable. But definitely something, one of those perfect races.
And just as you were speaking there, Victor, we saw in the feature race you pulling away. It was almost as if like the hero lighting the match, and letting the explosion go off behind, because as you went through that initial chicane, all hell broke loose behind you. And as you were saying, you the Pro-Am guys in the feature race are often careful of stepping on the toes of the pro guys, but you were really battling up there. And there was a couple of times where you profited on a few mistakes from the pro guys, and you were retaking back positions and you were battling. And it really just shows how little there is between the pro and Pro-Ams when we get down to it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I was so surprised when the guys started battling. They were starting to lose up to a second a lap, and I just saw my opportunities and I took them cautiously, but I took them, and I couldn't just. It was really lucky. Like, they were battling at the exact right point when I needed them to battle, and then when I got past them, eventually they just got in another battle, and I was able to kind of walk away half. And then, of course, in the second half of the feature race, made a small mistake in the middle of the mid sector, and I just let a few of them by me. So I was a bit disappointed in that, but overall, it's an amazing weekend. Obviously, thanks to you guys. Like, the joy you can bring is unbelievable. To be able to do this is just brilliant.
Yeah, and to be fair, with the joy that we have watching it as well, like, and I mean, we've made this point a couple of times, just how good the racing is. And Victor, look, I suppose, just final question from me. Like, do you feel now, and it's a little bit late to be asking this question as we head into the final round, but do you feel over this season that you've kind of got to grips with this TCR car, and does it take a while to kind of warm up to it? Because you came into the weekend with about 120 points, but a double race win really shows, you say it's a perfect race. It will show you it probably takes a little while to get to grips with these cars, but once you're there, you're pretty much there.
Oh yeah, definitely. So definitely like, coming into the first few rounds, I was kind of fourth, fifth, wasn't, and the car is different, especially coming from the USFs. Really different. Obviously, the front wheel drive. Obviously, I drive a front wheel drive car in real life as well, but yeah, definitely. And then to come in here and Zolder, I'm very familiar with GT racing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it is a huge car to try and modify yourself to, because it takes a lot of time. But I think I've reached it maybe a bit too late in the season, one round to go. But I'd love to make an impression.
Yeah, still time, Victor, Pro-Am winner in both the heat and the feature race. Congratulations, and hopefully be speaking to you next week again.
I hope so too. Hope I'm driver up again. Thanks very much, lad.
Well, I think another man who's really impressed today, despite having a bit of a hairy moment in the feature race, is Josh Malin. I think he's standing by with Jack.
Yeah, we have Josh with us. Always happy to have a chat with us. Josh, kind of mixed day, I suppose. Well, decent in the end, winning the first race and recovery back to fifth. But yeah, talk us through the end of race one, because that was a bit of a scary moment. We saw the timing tower, the gap dropping down.
I knew you were going to mention this.
Well, I couldn't exactly let it go now.
I mean, yeah. My heart fell out of my backside. That's for sure. I clipped the grass on the outside going into the sort of entering turn 2, and I was stabbing the throttle just to keep power to the front, just to make sure I didn't go round. But yeah, for the rest of the lap, I think Naveed was right up my trumpet. So yeah, it was a bit tense towards the end. I don't like to make things easy for myself, that's for sure.
We had a conspiracy that you'd done it on purpose to make it a bit of an exciting last lap, so maybe we'll just take that and run with it. But
I mean, I was a bit bored out of the front. No, I'm joking. No, it was totally not intentional, and yeah, it was a good race. Just kept hitting my marks, and unfortunately, I missed that mark, and it could have had catastrophic consequences.
Yeah, and now race 2, of course, was a monumental accident in the second chicane, but still recovering back to P5. So still a decent race in the end, a first and a fifth. But what was going through your mind in that second chicane?
I went for a move, and I was right on the inside of the track, and I can't remember what car moved across on me, and then iRacing Physics took its calls. So yeah, a bit disappointing that I got taken out at that point, because I got quite a good start off the line. But hey, it's racing. We move forward, and yeah, no, I really enjoyed it that aside.
Yeah, and just lastly, we head to the Hockenheim for the last round next week. We've never really been there. Have you done many laps of Hockenheim, or is it a brand new track?
I've done quite a few laps of the Hockenheim recently. I mean, VRS GT Sprint's been there before. The Porsche Cup cars, which I drive quite a lot on iRacing, I've been there quite a lot too. So I'd like to think I'm fairly familiar with the track.
Brilliant. Well, Josh, thanks for hopping in with us. Is there anyone would like to say a quick thank you to, or give a quick shout out to while we're still on air?
Oh, again, to my real world sponsors, Ashgood Porsche, Damien from the Car Guys, and obviously to Digital Motorsports for hosting this fantastic series. Shout out to all friends and family that are watching, and to my girlfriend Alice as well. Hope you enjoyed that one.
Brilliant. Well, Josh, as always, thanks for hopping in with us, and I'm sure we'll chat next week.
No worries. Cheers, Jack. See you later.
Yeah. Josh there. And finally, Jason Cooper is with Kevin.
Jason, I suppose, look, when you were involved in that initial incident in the feature race, you probably thought to yourself, oh God, this is a big turning moment, could be a big moment in the championship. And when you crossed the line, you were so far ahead in the lead, I'd say you couldn't quite believe how the race flipped on its head, particularly that feature race.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a dramatic day. My fiance went into hospital this morning and gave birth to a baby boy.
Congratulations! Amazing.
I'm only able to race tonight because of the COVID regulations. I got kicked out of the hospital at 7, so I just made it back here in time. And then I got a problem with my cube steering wheel that it's not charging, and it ran out of battery about 3 minutes before qualifying, so I couldn't change gear. So I've had to hook up a sequential gear stick and drive one-handed all night. So yeah, up against it from the start. But yeah, the racing was great. I a little bit disappointed with the second race because I had a really good start, made up quite a few places, and then I got tangled with an out-of-control car, spun me around. But yeah, recovered well. Had a little bit of damage, so couldn't go crazy fast. But yeah, recovered reasonably well.
Okay, first of all, how is wife and baby? That's the most important question.
Oh yeah, they're doing great, thanks. Yeah,
brilliant. Look, I'm trying to wrap my head around that. How we wouldn't have even had you tonight if it weren't for COVID regulations and your poor wife. I was trying to think to myself, why are you iRacing tonight? If it's a fair enough reason. And it's funny how that last lap or that incident in the feature race is probably the least dramatic thing you've had all night. Were you afraid, I suppose, when you had to switch to sequentially, you were driving one-handed, as you say, that Naveed was going to get the run on you and that it could turn out to be a kind of a difficult evening? I know you do have that drop week, but I know you struggled as well last week, so you probably felt a little bit under pressure to get a result tonight.
Yeah, most of my weeks I haven't had a very good pair of races. I've had like a good sprint race and a poor feature race. So I was just trying to have a consistent night. But yeah, as you say, that incident was probably the least of my worries for today. But yeah, I really enjoyed it still.
Will we see you for next week then, in that case? Because it's going to be a very patient wife that allows her partner to, or very patient woman who allows her partner to iRace, less about a week after she's given birth.
Hopefully it'll be fine. I'll have to speak nicely. Yeah, big shout out to her for being so amazing all day, and let me race tonight really.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Jason, congratulations. Hopefully you can cap off what's been a special week for you with the very small matter in the grand context of things of an IDMC championship win. But congratulations on a great result. Is there anybody else apart from your adoring partner that you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Just you guys really for putting on such an amazing championship. Really enjoy racing every week, and obviously all the drivers that I race against have some great racing.
Brilliant. Jason, a new dad, a good result tonight, a pretty good day despite all the drama. Thanks a million for joining us, and looking forward to speaking to you next week.
Yeah, cheers. See you next week.
Well, Jack, that is a first. I've never spoken to a new dad and in one of these interviews, but congratulations to Jason. I didn't even get to ask him what the baby's name is. I didn't even think of that. So hopefully Jason can get back and let us know ahead of next week's stream. Maybe even put it on the car. We would like to see that. I suppose another barmy race. A lot of elbows out, a lot of incidents. Not so much in the first race as we were expecting, but certainly in the feature race. And look, we're seeing what could be a big change in terms of the championship. Drop weeks depending.
Yeah, and you can see there's the race one results with Naveed in second and Jason in fourth. But remember, there are stewards investigations, and Naveed is under investigation for an incident with Peter Dempsey. So that could, if there's a penalty applied, that could be a big shift going into next week, which, believe it or not, is actually the final round. And we're going to a brand new circuit, which we've never used as well, Hockenheim. I'm sure a couple of the guys will be getting in some practice for that next week, because remember, the VRS Global Endurance starts this weekend as well, which is the 24-hour series on iRacing, which is going to be at Hockenheim this weekend. So the guys will be getting some laps in the GTs and the LMPs as well. So to anyone who's taking part in that, best of luck. And if I take you out, I'm sorry.
Well, I won't. Well, that's certainly me out anyway, Jack. I'd like to keep our good working relationship here without tarnishing it by potentially taking each other out and bottom split around Hockenheim. And also big shout
You
out.
just
as well
assumed I'm going to be in bottom split. How dare you, Kevin Galvin?
well, I assume I'm going to be in bottom split. So if I'm going to see you anywhere, it's going to be in bottom split. But and also a big shout out to Paul O'Connell as well. A brilliant drive in the second race, particularly in Misano. I know that our own Niall Mara was over with him, and a great result for them, and a great weekend to get out. Jack, I suppose, look, one round to go. We're down to the last round. Hockenheim next, all on the line in both Pro-Am and Pro. You couldn't ask for much more, could you?
No, you couldn't. And we didn't mention him all night, but Simon Wall had a great race as well, finishing in front of Sean McGovern on both occasions. So he's done everything he can to close up the championship there. I think it'll still be really close going into that final round as well. And Victor as well could be on for a good result there as well. But I mean, it's sad that we're coming to the end of another season, but we are, of course, looking forward to the next one after this. We've got the championship to decide next week, but of course, we already know what the cars are going to be for the series after this. Well, they're just a little bit faster. I say a little bit, quite a lot faster. And they're also tin tops as well, which is also brilliant. So looking forward to that as well. But as always, we always want to give a quick thank you to all our sponsors, to SimuCube for supporting us, to SIMTAG, who, of course, are giving away that wonderful set of pedals that you can enter yourself in to win. So don't forget to get your driver of the day into the comments. To Grid Engineering as well. A big thank you to those guys over in Canada, Motorsport Ireland, for their continuous support of this series as well. To the Sureway Group as well for their assistance in this series as well, and to the EFC Group as well, and of course the Digital-Motorsports for running the series as well. But I'm looking forward to Hockenheim next week. Many laps turned in a Corvette so far, but I think they should be fun in TCRs.
Massively fun, and a track that's so synonymous with DTM. 1990s DTM, but obviously we're with the current crop of TCR cars. This on a week that will conclude probably one of the feistiest, most hotly contested, exciting, entertaining IDMC seasons we've ever had. As Jack often says, if you're not watching it, what are you doing? Make sure you join us next week, same time, same bat channel, 8:30, right here on the Digital-Motorsports.com YouTube channel from Hockenheim. Myself and Jack presenting the final round of the IDMC spring season, where it is still all to play for. But until then, slán go full.